Have you ever noticed those folks with binoculars hanging around their necks at the park, pointing excitedly at trees and smiling to themselves? Maybe you've thought, that looks peaceful. I wonder if I could do that too. Well, my friend, you absolutely can. Welcome to our guide on birdwatching for seniors, a hobby that's not only incredibly rewarding, but also perfectly suited for our golden years. I'm so glad you've joined me today. You know, birdwatching has been one of the greatest discoveries of my retirement, and I can't wait to share why this might become your new favorite pastime too. There's something truly magical about connecting with nature, especially when you have the time to slow down and really appreciate it. Birdwatching isn't just about identifying feathered friends, though that's certainly part of the fun. It's about getting outdoors, moving your body gently, breathing fresh air, and experiencing those wonderful moments of awe when you spot something beautiful or rare. It's also about community, about meeting like-minded folks who share your enthusiasm for the natural world. The beautiful thing about starting birdwatching in our senior years is that it's entirely adaptable to your mobility and preferences. You can enjoy birds from your kitchen window with a simple feeder, or you can venture into national parks for day-long expeditions if you're feeling adventurous. There are no rules about how to enjoy this hobby. It truly is for everyone. In this video, we'll explore 5 simple ways to start your birdwatching journey, including the inexpensive materials you'll need, where to go for the best experiences, and how to connect with other bird enthusiasts in your area. I promise by the end of our time together, you'll feel confident and excited to spot your first woodpecker or kingfisher. Let's start with the essentials. What you'll actually need to begin birdwatching. The good news is that the startup costs can be as minimal or extensive as you'd like. I remember when I first started, I was worried I'd need all sorts of expensive equipment, but that's simply not the case. First things first. Comfortable footwear. Now, I can't stress this enough. A good pair of walking boots or sturdy shoes with proper support will make all the difference in your birdwatching experience. You don't need to hike for miles. Even a gentle stroll around a local park can lead to wonderful discoveries. But you want your feet to be comfortable while you're standing or walking slowly, which is what birdwatching often entails. I learned this lesson the hard way when I first started. I wore my regular trainers to a local wetland, and after just an hour of gentle walking and standing, my feet were killing me. A pair of waterproof walking boots with ankle support changed everything. They don't have to be expensive, just supportive and appropriate for the terrain where you'll be watching. Next on our list is weather-appropriate clothing. Birdwatching means spending time outdoors, sometimes in changing weather conditions. A good rule of thumb is to dress in layers that you can add or remove as needed. In cooler months, a warm coat is essential, preferably something quiet that doesn't make a lot of noise when you move. Birds have excellent hearing, and that swishy windbreaker might just scare away the very creatures you're hoping to see. I always recommend earth tones, browns, greens, grays, rather than bright colors. Birds notice bright colors quite easily, and while they might not always flee, you'll have better luck blending into the environment. Think of yourself as becoming part of the landscape. Now for the star of the show, binoculars. While you can certainly enjoy birdwatching without them, a decent pair of binoculars will transform your experience. But here's a secret many beginners don't know. You don't need to spend hundreds of pounds on professional equipment when you're just starting out. A mid-range pair with 8x42 magnification is perfect for most birdwatchers. The first number, 8 in this case, refers to how many times closer the bird will appear. The second number, 42, indicates the diameter of the front lenses in millimeters, which affects how much light enters the binoculars. For beginners, anything between 7x35 and 10x42 works wonderfully. I started with an affordable pair I found at a local sporting goods store, and they served me well for years before I decided to upgrade. When choosing binoculars, comfort is key. Make sure they're not too heavy for you to hold steady for extended periods. Many models today are quite lightweight compared to the clunky ones of decades past. If possible, try them out in the store before purchasing, or check the return policy if buying online. Another essential item in your birdwatching toolkit is a field guide. While there are wonderful apps available nowadays, and we'll talk about those later, there's something special about a physical field guide. They don't need batteries. They work in areas with no phone service, and there's a certain joy in flipping through pages to identify your latest sighting. Look for a guide specific to your region, rather than one covering the entire country. You'll find it less overwhelming and more useful for identifying the birds you're actually likely to see. Many guides are organized by color or shape to help beginners quickly narrow down possibilities. If you enjoy photography, a camera can be a wonderful addition to your birdwatching kit. Don't worry if you don't have a fancy zoom lens. Even a simple point and shoot or your smartphone can capture memorable moments. I started with just my phone camera, taking pictures not for perfection, but as a record of what I'd seen. Looking back at those early photos brings me so much joy, even if they're not National Geographic quality. Beyond these basics, there are a few comfort items I never leave home without. A small notebook and pencil for jotting down observations, a water bottle to stay hydrated, and perhaps a lightweight folding stool if standing for long periods is challenging for you. Some of my friends bring hiking sticks for added stability on uneven terrain. You might be wondering about the cost of all this. The wonderful thing about birdwatching is that you can start with just what you have: comfortable shoes, weather-appropriate clothes, and your own two eyes. As your interest grows, you can gradually add items like binoculars and field guides. Would you like to know where to go for your first birdwatching adventure? Or perhaps what time of day offers the best viewing opportunities? These questions bring us to our next important considerations for beginning birdwatchers. The location and timing of your outings can dramatically influence your experience and the variety of birds you'll encounter. Finding the right spots to begin your birdwatching journey is easier than you might think. A wonderful place to start is by looking up your nearest Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, RSPB reserves, or similar wildlife sanctuaries in your area. These organizations maintain beautiful natural spaces specifically designed with wildlife and visitors in mind. They often have well-maintained paths, comfortable seating areas, and those magical viewing hides to observe birds without disturbing them. The first time I visited an RSPB reserve, I was absolutely amazed at how visitor-friendly it was. The paths were clearly marked, relatively flat, and there were plenty of benches along the way for taking breaks. The staff were incredibly knowledgeable and eager to help newcomers like me. Many of these reserves even offer guided walks specifically for beginners, a perfect way to start your birdwatching journey with some expert guidance. But you don't have to travel far to enjoy birdwatching. Your own backyard, local park, or neighborhood green space can be surprising hotspots for bird activity. I have a friend who's identified over 30 different bird species just from her apartment balcony with a small feeder installed. Starting close to home has another advantage. It's familiar territory, so you can focus on spotting birds rather than navigating new surroundings. Now, timing can make all the difference in your birdwatching experience. Early morning, particularly the first few hours after sunrise, is often called the golden hour for birdwatchers. This is when many birds are most active, singing and foraging for their morning meals. There's something truly magical about being out in nature as the world wakes up, with a chorus of birdsong surrounding you. If you're not an early riser, and I certainly wasn't when I first started, don't worry. Late afternoon before sunset is another excellent time for bird activity, and honestly, you can spot interesting birds at any time of day. Different species have different habits, so mixing up your viewing times can help you see a greater variety of feathered friends. Seasonal changes also dramatically affect which birds you'll see. Spring brings migratory species, returning to breed, often in their most colorful plumage. Summer offers opportunities to see parents feeding their young. Autumn brings another wave of migration, while winter has its own special visitors in many regions. Each season has its unique charms for birdwatchers. When I first started birdwatching in winter, I thought I'd see very little. Was I ever wrong? That's when I spotted my first robin redbreast against the snow, a sight I'll never forget. The contrast of that red chest bobbing about against the white landscape was lovely to see. It taught me that there's no wrong season to begin birdwatching, just different experiences to treasure. Weather conditions influence bird behavior significantly. Slightly overcast days can actually be better for birdwatching than bright sunny ones, as many birds are more active when it's not too hot. After light rain is often an excellent time as birds come out to feed. Of course, always prioritize your safety and comfort. Birdwatching in extreme weather isn't enjoyable or safe for anyone. Now, let's talk about technique. Birdwatching isn't just about looking up at trees. It's about tuning all of your senses to the natural world around you. Often, you'll hear a bird before you see it. Learning to identify birds by their calls and songs adds a whole new dimension to the experience. Don't worry about memorizing hundreds of bird calls when you're starting out. Just try to become more aware of the sounds around you. I remember being frustrated during my first few outings because I couldn't spot birds quickly enough. That's when a kind fellow birdwatcher shared a technique that changed everything for me. She taught me to scan slowly, focusing on movement rather than trying to spot the whole bird immediately. Birds often give themselves away by moving among still branches or leaves. Patience truly is the birdwatcher's virtue. Sometimes the most rewarding sightings come after quietly waiting in one spot for 15 or 20 minutes. That's when the birds forget you're there and resume their natural behaviors. I've found that bringing that lightweight folding stool I mentioned earlier helps me settle in comfortably for these waiting periods. If you're concerned about your vision or steadiness, there are wonderful adaptations available. Binoculars with image stabilization can help if your hands shake a bit. Some models have large focus wheels that are easier to adjust if you have arthritis. And don't forget that many nature centers and reserves offer spotting scopes already set up on tripods, perfect if you'd rather not carry equipment yourself. Moving on to one of my favorite aspects of birdwatching, the community. While birdwatching can be a wonderfully solitary activity, when you want some peaceful time in nature, it can also be a marvelous way to meet like-minded people. Birders are generally a friendly bunch, eager to share their knowledge and excitement with newcomers. Libraries and leisure centers often host talks by local ornithologists or experienced birders. These events are perfect for expanding your knowledge and meeting others in your area with similar interests. Many are specifically designed with seniors in mind, held during daylight hours, and in accessible locations. The internet has also transformed the birdwatching community. Websites and apps like eBird allow you to record your sightings, contributing to public science projects that help researchers track bird populations. These platforms also show you where others have spotted interesting birds in your area, like having local inside knowledge wherever you go. Social media groups dedicated to birdwatching provide wonderful spaces to share photos, ask for help identifying birds, and connect with fellow enthusiasts. Don't worry if your photos aren't perfect or if you can't identify what you've seen. These communities are generally supportive and eager to help newcomers. For those days when getting outdoors isn't possible, perhaps the weather is too extreme or you're not feeling up to it, bird feeders offer a wonderful alternative. Setting up a simple feeder near a window brings the joy of birdwatching right to your home. Over time, you'll begin to recognize individual birds that visit regularly, observing their behaviors and interactions. Some of my most fascinating observations have happened right in my own backyard. Different types of feeders attract different species. Tube feeders filled with sunflower seeds might bring finches and sparrows, while suet cages attract woodpeckers and nuthatches. Starting with just one simple feeder and expanding as your interest grows is a perfect approach. Birdwatching isn't just enjoyable, it's good for you in ways you might not expect. Studies have shown that time spent in nature reduces stress and blood pressure, improves mood, and even boosts cognitive function. The gentle walking often involved in birdwatching provides light exercise that's perfect for seniors, while the mental activity of identifying different species keeps our minds sharp. There's also a calming aspect to birdwatching that many find deeply rewarding. When you're focused on observing birds, you're completely present in the moment, noticing details, listening intently, and connecting with the natural world. This kind of concentrated attention can provide a welcome break from life's worries and distractions. I've found that since starting birdwatching, I'm more observant of the world around me in general. I notice seasonal changes, the patterns of clouds, the way light falls through trees. It's as if birdwatching has awakened my senses to the beauty that's always been there, waiting to be appreciated. As you begin your birdwatching journey, keeping a record of your observations can add another layer of enjoyment to the hobby. A simple notebook where you jot down the date, location, weather conditions, and birds you've spotted becomes a precious personal nature journal over time. Looking back through my first birdwatching journal brings me such joy, not just remembering the special sightings, but seeing how my knowledge and observation skills developed along the way. You don't need artistic talent to keep a meaningful journal. Simple notes work perfectly well, though some birdwatchers enjoy sketching what they see or pasting in photos they've taken. I started with just written descriptions and gradually added small sketches of distinctive markings that helped me remember each bird. The beauty of a personal journal is that it's just that, personal. It should serve and please you, not anyone else. If writing isn't your preference, digital options abound. Many birdwatchers use smartphone apps to log their sightings. Apps like the RSPB one, Merlin Bird ID, or eBird can help you identify birds and maintain your life list. That's what birdwatchers call the running tally of all the different species they've observed over time. There are also many birdsong apps available for your phone. These apps also contribute to public science projects, meaning your observations help researchers track bird populations and migrations. Speaking of technology, don't shy away from it if you find it helpful. While traditional birdwatching relied on field guides and memory, today's tools can enhance the experience, especially for beginners. Bird identification apps use photos, descriptions, range maps, and recordings of bird calls to help you identify what you're seeing. Some newer apps even allow you to take a photo of a bird and receive identification suggestions. Learning to identify birds becomes easier with practice, and there are some simple approaches that can help beginners. Start by focusing on the most common birds in your area, the ones you're likely to see regularly. Once you can confidently identify these frequent visitors, the occasional rare sighting becomes all the more exciting. Size comparison is one of the most useful identification tools. Is the bird sparrow-sized, robin-sized, or crow-sized? Noting the general size relative to familiar birds gives you an immediate way to narrow down possibilities. Next, look at the overall shape and posture. Is it plump or slender? Does it have a long tail or short? Does it hold itself upright or in a more horizontal position? Color patterns provide obvious clues, but try to notice more than just the predominant color. Look for distinctive markings like wing bars, eye rings, or cap colors. Pay attention to the shape of the bill. Is it short and thick for seed eating, long and slender for probing, or hooked for tearing? These details not only help with identification, but also teach you about each bird's lifestyle and habits. Behavior can be just as distinctive as appearance. Does the bird hop on the ground or walk? Does it flit quickly from branch to branch or move deliberately? Does it hang upside down on branches like a nuthatch or cling to the side of a tree trunk like a woodpecker? These behavioral clues often confirm an identification when colors and patterns are difficult to see clearly. I am very lucky to live close to an RSPB reserve at Hale in Cornwall. Living close to the sea means we get to see many seabirds at different times of the year. Hale Estuary's wetlands, mudflats, and salt marshes became a lifeline for rare bird species, and it has become a Cornish wildlife haven. These mudflats might not look impressive to the human eye, but they're incredibly productive ecosystems. Each square meter can contain thousands of marine worms, crustaceans, and mollusks. Curlews with their distinctive downward curved bills, probing deep for buried lugworms, redshanks darting nervously across the shallows, oystercatchers with their striking black and white plumage and bright orange bills. Birdwatching at different times of year brings seasonal delights. Spring migration offers the chance to see birds in their breeding plumage, often more colorful and distinctive than their winter appearance. Many birds that seem plain during most of the year transform into stunning beauties during breeding season. The dawn chorus of birdsong in spring is one of nature's most magnificent concerts, worth rising early to experience at least once. Summer brings the joy of watching parent birds feeding their young. Nest building, territorial displays, and fledgling birds taking their first flights offer heartwarming glimpses into the family lives of our feathered neighbors. Finding a nest with baby birds is always special, though it's important to observe from a respectful distance to avoid disturbing the family. Autumn migration happens over a longer period than spring's often dramatic influx. Birds move through in waves, with some species passing through earlier than others. Autumn also brings the pleasure of watching young birds of the year, sometimes still showing their juvenile plumage, which can differ from adult coloration and cause some interesting identification challenges. Winter has its own special pleasures for birdwatchers. With leaves off the trees, birds are often easier to spot. Some species that breed far north only visit more temperate regions during winter months, bringing new varieties to observe. And there's something particularly heartwarming about watching birds at feeders during cold weather, knowing you're helping them through the challenging season. One aspect of birdwatching that surprised me was how it connected me to environmental awareness in a personal, meaningful way. When you regularly observe birds in your area, you notice changes over time, both positive and concerning. Birds are excellent indicators of environmental health, and watching their populations shift can provide early warning of ecological issues. Many senior birdwatchers find themselves becoming advocates for conservation, supporting efforts to protect habitats and reduce threats to bird populations. This might mean participating in community cleanups, supporting wildlife-friendly gardening practices, or simply sharing your enthusiasm for birds with others, especially younger generations who will become future stewards of our natural world. For those with limited mobility, birdwatching remains wonderfully accessible. Many nature reserves have wheelchair-accessible paths and viewing platforms. Window birdwatching with strategically placed feeders can bring dozens of species right to you. And don't underestimate the value of finding a comfortable spot with a good view and simply sitting quietly, observing what comes your way. Some of my most memorable sightings have happened when I was forced to sit in one place due to a twisted ankle. If your vision is limited, focusing on bird sounds can open up a whole new dimension of the hobby. Learning to identify birds by their calls and songs is a skill many sighted birdwatchers never fully develop. Some experienced birders can identify dozens of species without ever seeing them, just by their distinctive vocalizations. Audio field guides and apps that play bird calls can help you learn these sounds at your own pace. What I find most beautiful about birdwatching as we age is how it connects us to the rhythms of the natural world. Birds follow ancient patterns of migration, nesting, and seasonal behavior that have continued for countless generations. There's something deeply comforting about witnessing these cycles, a reminder that life continues with or without our notice, but how much richer our lives become when we pause to pay attention. Birdwatching also offers a perfect activity to share with grandchildren or other young people in your life. Children naturally respond to the wonder of spotting colorful, active birds, and teaching them to notice and appreciate nature creates bonds and memories that last a lifetime. As you begin your birdwatching journey, remember that there's no right or wrong way to enjoy this hobby. Some people become passionate about maintaining detailed life lists, traveling far and wide to add rare species. Others are content to know the dozen or so regular visitors to their garden by name, enjoying their daily comings and goings like old friends. Both approaches, and everything in between, are equally valid and rewarding. The beauty of birdwatching is that it meets you where you are. On days when you have energy and mobility, perhaps you'll visit a nature reserve or join a group walk. When you prefer to stay closer to home, your backyard or a nearby park offers plenty to observe. Even on days when you can't go outside at all, birds at your window feeder or bird documentaries on television keep the connection to these wonderful creatures alive. I hope this introduction to birdwatching has sparked your interest in giving it a try. Start small, be patient with yourself, and remember that every experienced birdwatcher was once a beginner who couldn't tell a finch from a sparrow. The joy is in the journey of discovery, in those moments of connection with the natural world that bring us out of our daily concerns and into the present moment. I've found that my birdwatching journey has opened up a wider appreciation of the natural world. What begins as a simple interest in identifying birds becomes a pathway to the wonder and deeper appreciation for the world all around us. I'd love to hear about your birdwatching experiences or answer any questions you might have. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more content designed specifically for living your best life in your senior years. Until next time, happy birdwatching, and remember, it's never too late to look up and discover the wonders flying above us every day. If you might want to bring more adventures and fun to your retirement, click the link below to see what else our channel has to offer. Above all, enjoy these golden years by filling them with hobbies and interests that you never had time for before. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye from me.